Welcome to Down to Dunk. I'm your host, Andrew Schleck. We're part of the Athletic Podcast Network. With me today is my good friend, Michele Barra. Michele, what's up?
Well, doubleheader in LA and now Portland. What a wonderful way to end and start your week.
I know. So Dame played last night. I don't know if that means that he won't play tonight. I would guess he's going to play tonight. They need him, and they have goals as a team that they need to achieve. And it's not a guarantee they beat the Thunder without Dame. So my guess is that we'll see Damian Lillard tonight in Portland, and I can't wait to see Lou Dort defend him, honestly.
Do you think he will wear the new OKC-themed shoes?
That's a good question. I would guess so, right? When you're playing the Thunder.
Those look super cool, by the way.
They're cool. They're really cool.
I want a pair. I mean, I don't care what they mean. I mean, those are awesome. I mean, I don't wear that brand. I usually go with the other one. I'm not sure if you can say the names or whatever. Yeah. So I usually wear Nike for running and whatever. But those looks extremely cool. I'm really tempted.
I'm tempted as well, just because of the fact that Dame shot really changed the Thunder franchise.
Yeah.
Had he missed that shot, the Thunder win the game, somehow the Thunder go on to win the series, I still don't believe that's possible. Let's just say it happened.
Yeah.
And the Thunder go out in round 2 in like 6 games.
Yeah.
Then you can start talking yourself into, okay, let's keep this going.
Maybe. Yeah.
And you definitely watch Russ right now, and it's pretty rough. I mean, it's brutal right now. And then you watch Paul George do what he does in the playoffs. I know Paul George has been great in the regular season. It's wonderful. Good for him.
Yeah.
Really cool. But I need to see it in the playoffs. I just won't buy it until the playoff.
Yeah. And even if Paul George was as great as in the regular season, it's not that the ceiling of that team is dramatically different. It's probably conference finals, maybe that year, probably, but doesn't really change the outcome for the future. Because, I mean, I haven't seen the last game of the Wizards, but I had...
Don't do it.
I saw glimpses of it, and it's not good. It's so sad. I mean, I was really happy for us because I said, well, maybe this is a good situation for him. A lot of shooting around him. Thomas Bryant, Bertans, Beal, and those 2 young wings. Maybe he can have all the space he needs to be Russell Westbrook again. And so far, not the case. And yeah, I mean, it's
all
tough to watch.
All that to say is that shot sent the Thunder into a tailspin that led to something very great for them. Is that they got more than they should for both Paul George and Russell Westbrook. I mean, I think if you traded Paul George today, you get a lot. If you tried to make the same, like if the Clippers called the Thunder and said, "Hey, we'd like to trade for Shai, and we'd like to give you Paul George." Obviously, the deal doesn't make any sense whatsoever. But if you were trying to surround a trade, if you were trying to retrade, they'd say, like, okay, like Shai and 1 first rounder and cap filler for Paul George. And they would be like, done. Fair deal. Because of the length of time that you have control over Shai, because of how young he is. I mean, that's a fair deal. If that's all they got, it's a fair deal. And that's not all they got. They got a lot in return. And the same for Russell. Like, that Russell deal looks really, really good now, especially when you go to tankathon.com and take a look at where that Houston Rockets pick is and the potential for that. So that deal it could be franchise changing for the Thunder.
Yeah.
Because if the Thunder get their own top 5 pick and they get like the 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th pick from Houston, potentially franchise changing.
Yeah. And look, let's rethink a little bit about the value of those trades. Let us start with Paul George. And I mean, they got 3 unprotected first and 2 swaps, plus Danilo Gallinari, plus Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. And sorry, I had to...
Not Shai Gilgeous?
No. Well, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, whatever. Well, anyway, that is probably higher value compared to what Houston got for James Harden. Probably.
Yeah.
The picks
Yeah.
have a higher upside. I get that. I mean, Brooklyn is a team that has basically no future. Kawhi and Paul George are much younger, and I mean, the pick value on the back end of the deal are probably in favor of Brooklyn. But you got a stud, and Victor Oladipo, I like him. Caris LeVert, I like him. You don't trade Shai for those. You probably it's LeVert. The difference between LeVert and Shai are probably 2 unprotected first, at least. At the very least.
Yeah.
And probably I don't do the deal anyway because it doesn't make sense for me right now. No. So that is probably in par with what the New Orleans Pelicans got for AD, because Ingram is very, very good and they got a lot. But it's insane. Like, Paul George is not AD. And it's not hard.
Clippers picks are probably more valuable than Lakers picks.
Yeah, because AD just signed there, and so it's, who knows. Russell Westbrook. I mean, even if the Houston pick is not a top 10 pick, but it's a lottery pick, you traded Russell Westbrook, an aging Russell Westbrook, for a year of Chris Paul, where you actually did better in terms of where you were at the end of the season, because you were at Game 7.
Game 7.
Like a Lou Dort 3 from like playing the Lakers.
Yeah.
This is insane. And on the top of that, you got the picks, unprotected picks of Phoenix.
And so I will tease Wednesday's episode a little bit, in that Alex and I are going to take a look at all the trades that were made over the summer and give them grades in hindsight. And it's not a ton of hindsight. We'll need 5 years of hindsight for it to be real. But just looking back, and at the time we thought a lot of these deals were good. Some of them we didn't like so much, but that's going to be our deep dive on Wednesday. Then
let's skip that. And what I mean is, those are awesome trade, even if the Houston pick is not top 10 pick.
Yeah.
Because the value that they got, and the fact that the thing to me was that Chris was awesome in OKC. He basically increased the value of a guy like Dennis Schroeder, gave him a role. He's playing for the Lakers, and I mean, they had no doubt about him. It is awesome what Chris did for OKC in just one season. He improved the value of all the people around him, and this will make will be important going forward. Even Shai. I mean, Shai is not the guy that was in Los Angeles. He's a different guy now, and I really think that what Chris did was important. I mean, we don't have any idea of how Russ would have been for him, but I mean, it's sure that Chris...
It would have been different.
There's
no doubt.
What I can say, it's Chris was very beneficial. And so.
Well, I think that you could say, like, Russ was great for Victor Oladipo because they're similar type of players, like very athletic, like not... Like, neither of them have great touch, but they can score. And so, like, the work ethic, the explosion to the rim, all that stuff was very good for Vic to see that firsthand. For Shai, Chris Paul teams just play really slow, and they're very intentional, and they're just trying to find loopholes throughout the entire game to get you to win. And I think it's good for Shai to see that, because that's more of the style that Shai fits. Yeah. So I think for each time it was good for both players, and it would have been interesting to see what Russ could have done with him, but I think I would prefer Chris in that situation.
Well,
but we don't even have.
We don't have to go back and try. So it's
shout out to Fluky from Germany. Shout out to Emil from New Zealand. Shout out from Miroslav from Germany. Shout out to Zachary from Maine. Huge shout out to all you guys on the stream. If you don't join us via the stream, if you're just listening on the podcast, you can join us on YouTube. We are live. So please join us when you can. If not, you can go subscribe to the YouTube stream and watch it back if you just want to see our faces. So let's get to a mailbag here that we got on Twitter. And we start with a question from our guy, Miguel Davila 25, who wants to know who has more value to other NBA teams right now between Shai and Dort.
Well, it's Shai. It's clearly Shai because no matter how Dort is functional for a contender, Shai is so much better.
Yeah.
So much more refined as an offensive player. I get the question. I mean, it's not a bad question because if you have LeBron James, you kind of don't need Shai to some degree, and you probably would play Dort quite a lot. But think about Milwaukee. I mean, Shai would be insanely good for Milwaukee. So it really depends. But if you ask the general manager of the Los Angeles Lakers, who is LeBron James, basically, if he wants Shai or Dort, I don't think he's a question. I mean,
It is no hesitation.
Yeah, no. And even if Dort fits that type of team better because he doesn't need the ball in his hands, his points per touches are over the roof. So it's a player that can fit in that system. But even the Clippers, I mean, Shai would be perfect for the Clippers.
Shai's perfect for the Clippers. The only team that I would say that would pick Dort and should pick Dort is the Nets.
Yeah, probably because they really don't need an extra ball handler. But again, the front office will never blink twice. It's Shai because I prefer.
The value is too good to.
Yeah.
But if you were just saying, "Hey, we need to go win this playoff series,"
oh yeah,
take Dort, and I think the Lakers might take Dort. Honestly,
no, you just play KCP and like no, Shai's too good. It's just just too good.
Yeah, I'm just thinking fit. I just want the ball in LeBron James's hands all the time.
Yeah, but Shai can be like a secondary ball handler, shooter. Like he shoots awesomely off the catch. Yeah. So the defense is not as good.
It's not as big of an issue in LA.
Also, yes, you have a back line of defense that is amazing. So, I mean, you can find a defender somewhere to make things better chemistry wise. Mm-hmm. You don't find Shai under some rock. You just have to pick him. So it's Shai. And if you want to make a case that for the Nets Dort is kind of the better fit, yes, for sure.
I'm starting to feel really bad for Lou Dort just imagining him on the Nets. Just like, hey, Lou, do everything on this end. Just everything.
Yeah.
The best player. We don't care what size he is. That's your man.
I remember a tweet of Matt Moore. On Marcus Smart. I don't remember when. It was kind of 2-3 years ago. Mm-hmm. That was basically saying, "Hey Marcus, here is the best point guard in the league. Hey Marcus, here is the best wing in the league, the best center. Hey Marcus, is it a rhinoceros for you? Just deal with it."
Right?
And you can picture Marcus Smart like defending a huge beast.
Yep.
Yeah. Dort is the same.
Lou Dort is the same because he's huge. He is built like a truck.
He's massive.
He is. Yeah. I mean, there's a difference when you see him. There is just a difference. This is from Paul R. Valentine. What are some of the top moments in Thunder history that should be made into a petty shoe?
What's a petty shoe? Sorry.
This is the Dame shoe that we were discussing earlier.
Yeah.
I think probably like the Russ triple-double record, you could put that in like a Denver Nuggets colorway because he got that in Denver and knocked them out of the playoffs in the same day.
Yeah.
That could be a good one. I think one in Clippers colors, just on the sole of the shoe, just going over the sequence of events that happened in Game 5 of that game, where it's like Chris Paul flops, Russell gets the ball, Chris Paul fouls Russell Westbrook on a 3-point shot, free throw made.
That game was insane. Like, that series, the entire series was really insane.
It was.
Let me think.
So I think those would be good ones throughout Thunder history. Maybe one, the Thunder beating the Spurs when they were down.
2-0.
2-0, yeah. I don't know. Those are some good ones. Let's see. Next question comes from at Kiwi Greg 5. Would you trade draft picks 3 and 6 for number 1?
Yeah. Of course. Yep. Number 1 is number 1. And the only combo that in this particular draft I would hesitate using for trading up is 2 and 3. Maybe also any combination like 2 and 4.
Mm-hmm.
But
if you get 2 in the top 5, that's where I'm like, ugh.
Yeah, but and
you'd have to have one. You'd have to have 2. You'd have to have 2, and then another top 5. Yeah, then I would hesitate. Even 6, because that's where things start to get a little bit dicey in this particular draft as you start to look at the guys, because guys like BJ Boston aren't who people said they were at this point. So, yeah, I agree. Yes, do it. And whoever it is at 1, like, I don't know who Sam thinks is the best guy. It's probably Cade.
Yeah.
I don't know. He
he
may take Evan Mobley. He may take Jalen Suggs. I don't know. I have no idea. But whoever it is, whoever the Thunder think is the best player in this draft is likely a franchise player.
Yeah.
And you go get him.
Yeah. And this, I mean, the question is, if there is a guy that is clearly identified as the number 1 guy and Presti thinks that this is the guy, then you do the trade. If you think, like, the same thing happened with Philadelphia and Boston a couple of years ago. Boston had a clear evaluation of the draft, a better evaluation than everyone. Mm-hmm. And so they did the trade for even less. It was probably a future pick and number 3 and something else. I don't really remember, but I remember that Tatum was drafted at 3. So you can slide down or trade up, but you need to be really, really convinced that you cannot get what you want a little bit later, because Boston was set or laser focused, as Boyd says. They are circling around Jason. They were circling around Jason Tatum.
Yep.
So it's it may happen that you do 3 and 6, and then you were better off just picking at 3. Who knows? It depends. It really depends. In some draft, it's a no-brainer. KD draft, LeBron James draft, you do it. You probably even do 2 and 3 in LeBron's case, or even Doncic. I mean, it's something that if you have a franchise-altering player, you do whatever it takes. And maybe sometimes you miss because you don't trade Ja Morant for Zion Williamson today. Probably. Yes. At least you think about it.
Yeah.
So sometimes you think you have a clear number 1, and it's not. Wiggins, same thing. It was a clear number 1. No one. Well, Embiid was in the discussion, but then injury happened.
Yeah.
And so, but when you have a clear number 1, then you probably do it. Mm-hmm. And Cade seems
like the guy.
Yeah, he seems like the guy.
He seems like the guy that you would go get. But again, like I would leave that evaluation to the Oklahoma City Thunder. We will make our own evaluations.
Exactly.
And
me and Andrew of the future will do evaluations.
We will get there. We need a little bit more tape to review, and then we'll start. We'll start probably in the next few weeks, right? After the Thunder,
I think so.
1 million games in the next 3 weeks, then I think it will be time. It'll be time. We got Jay in the chat here. What's up, Jay? Thanks for joining. Let's get back to our mailbag here. This is from at Barn Keen. How has the possibility of an expansion draft and keeping 8 roster spots affected the Thunder's plans moving forward? Seems to me that the Thunder may push harder for top-end talent before the expansion draft and then fill in the holes after. Does it change at all, or should it?
It doesn't really matter. I don't remember if it was on Down to Dunk or Dream Team. The discussion that you had was basically, yeah, it's probably more relevant for teams that really need 10 guys. OKC is not in that moment. If you have, even if the expansion draft is tomorrow, it's clear for me who you protect. If you have space, you probably protect one between Horford and Hill, probably Hill, and then Horford, and then you protect your best prospects. And yeah, I mean, Mosky can go. Diallo is probably in the fringe. Kenrich is in the fringe. And if you lose Kenrich Williams, it doesn't change anything.
How
really
dare you?
Anything.
How
no,
dare you?
It's the truth, Andrew. I mean, it's just that. I mean, it's nice to have. It's a player that I like watch. I like watching on the court, but it doesn't change anything. I mean, it's not that he's sticking around for sure. I mean, you will. Are you going to extend a guy like Kenrich Williams?
Yes.
Okay. Then it's relevant for you. It's one of your 8 guys.
I will celebrate a Kenrich Williams extension. Yes, I will celebrate it on this show in your face.
Okay. Okay. Let's do that. After you pay for the bet. I don't even remember what the payment is. Probably a pizza.
I need to go back and listen and figure out what it was because I clearly should just go ahead and pay up now. Whatever it was. I was very wrong on we're talking about our Lou Dort bet. I thought he'd be under 29%. And maybe I lose.
Maybe. Who knows? If you want to sell, you can sell for half a pizza. And then we call it. Okay. Or you can keep it and see. And you pay the full pizza.
Oh, I'll pay now. I'll pay now.
Who knows?
I know. You know. Stop.
I know. But
okay. Red Comet MSG wants to know. Finally watched some game film. Baze seems to camp out on the perimeter too much. He was at some of his best earlier in the year and last year when he was cutting with his size through the lane. It'd be nice to see him hitting the offensive glass more as well. Am I wrong to think that?
No, not wrong. But I think Coach Dagnall talked a little bit about that a week ago or 4 or 5 days ago.
It was over the weekend.
Yeah.
I asked him the question. I popped on there and asked him about Baze and just his mentality.
Yeah.
Because that's something that I just reading the tea leaves would worry a little bit about with him because he is a thinker. He's a guy that does kind of change his personality from setting to setting. And I don't know. I mean, he seems like kind of a complex guy that could get in his own head a little bit. But he did say his mentality is very good and that they're throwing a lot at him. Whether that be in the game or on the bench, or they're not really practicing a whole lot, but probably in practice as well when they do get to practice. They're throwing a lot at him, and they want to expand his offensive game. And I think this goes to a little bit a question from at Austin_35 when he says, where was this Jeff Green in OKC? Because I think the Thunder see the mistakes that they made with Jeff Green and don't want to make the similar mistake with guys that have a similar skill set. And Jeff Green and Baze are very similar players. And that they're like pretty athletic. They got good feel for the game. They can kind of do a little bit of everything. And I think they want to give more responsibility to him. And I think they look back at Jeff's career in OKC and thought, man, we should have given him the ball more. We should have given him more responsibility.
Yeah.
He should have taken more threes. I think there's a lot of mistakes made with Jeff Green. And so I think that they are trying to expand him and not box him in. And yeah, he floats. He does seem to be floating around a little bit when he plays with. This is like when he plays with Hami. I mean, pretty much no one sees the ball when you play with Hami, and so like everybody's kind of floating around. So there's issues, and there's issues with this team. I mean, they have the worst offense in the NBA.
Yeah,
there's going to be issues with this team when you have the worst offense in the National Basketball Association. There's going to be issues with it. And I think they're working it out. And I think that Baze has I've seen it. I agree with this comment. I've seen Baze suffer a little bit over the last 2 weeks because of it. And, it's something to watch for. I do think that like the front office and the coaching staff are pretty aligned with what should be happening. I think like Pokuševski's minutes are the biggest indicator of that.
Mhm.
And I think their preference would be to give Baze as much responsibilities as possible, and to really try to develop a lot of his game in the next few years.
Yeah, I agree with everything, and it's not easy to play a certain brand of basketball when you need players with the ball in their hands a lot. And it's, on one hand, it's easy because everyone can do everything, but at some point, dribbling, it's not going in that direction. So you need to be mindful of that. And also, something that I really noticed at some point during the last Clipper game, Robbie was not in the right place, and you could see Shai being a little bit frustrated by that. He called the play, and Robbie went in the opposite direction. He doesn't occupy space as he should. Horford is much better, and you can see when Horford or Muscala are on the court, the spacing is much better. It's just different. The defense reacts in a different way, and Bazley is better because when you know what you should do and you can't because the team is not functioning as you think, then probably he's a thinker, and so he says, well, I'll stay here because if I go where I want to, it's going to destroy the spacing even more. So I wouldn't worry about that. And again, the last part, in the last Clipper game, he was much, much better. So I really like to see him playing that way, and I hope that tonight he will be better at that.
Yeah. Great observation, and some stats to back that up from our guy at Al Baby Cakes. He tweeted this a couple days ago. He said, a super small sample, but I don't think anyone has been more affected by Horford's absence than Bazley. With Al in 9 games, he's 42% field goal percentage, 30% from 3, 11 points, 8 boards per game. They're a plus 0.4 net rating in 213 minutes. Without Al, he's shooting 30% from the field, 20% from 3, 7 points, 4 boards, and he and Roby in 127 minutes are a minus 23.8.
Yeah, that pairing is not working. Also because Al plays very differently on defense. At the beginning of the season, you could see like Bazley being basically the guy who takes the rebound. That is because you have a guy like Horford that does not care about numbers and is always there boxing out. And if you don't do that, then you change the dynamic of the team. I'm not saying that Baze should wait for someone to box out his guy.
Yeah.
But if that is the way in which you played, in order to give the ball to a guy that can run the floor and push the ball in transition because he has a very good handling, sometimes he's Robbie now doing that, and it's not the same. It's not really the same. So it's all good. He has to learn how to play even with Robbie and not with someone like Horford, who really knows how to play and has an outstanding IQ. He's just too good in terms of IQ. Like if he had the, if you basically make a fusion between Horford and Diallo, you get the ultimate player. Because Al will not take 20 shots probably ever in his career, but he really knows what to do at any time.
Yeah, he just doesn't make mistakes.
No.
And that was, to me, like the big difference in watching the Clippers versus the Thunder is that they just have all these veterans that have all these reps and that know how to play and know how to play together and know that Clippers team doesn't have a great point guard, but they just all are very smart and experienced and know how to play the game. And it just comes very, very easy for them. And this Thunder team is developing. Like, they're developing these players. They're letting them play through mistakes. I think, and this is just goes for just life in general, but you learn through your mistakes.
Yeah.
Those are the times where you really, really learn. When you have success, it's great. You feel good. But you really learn the most from your mistakes. And the Thunder are letting these guys make mistakes. And Isaiah Roby's a part of that process. He's making a ton of mistakes out there. He had some nice moments. But there's growing pains that's going to be at this team. And same goes for Bazley.
Yeah, you need to have accountability in order to learn from your mistakes. But I think that this team and this coaching staff will have that, because I mean,
Yeah.
if you really need to know when and where you made a mistake, and I think that this will be clear because guys are developing, and yeah, I mean it's a process, and I'm sure that this will be helpful for Baze. I mean, you will have to be better, even if the players around you are not. You need to be the guy who elevates them. It's not easy. And speaking about the Clippers, like, you can see how much of a difference a guy like Batum makes on the court. When you have a guy that basically doesn't move, he's there just to shoot the ball and relocate, and and he basically has the ball for a split of a second, but he knows where the ball should be. And like, he's basically what we thought Patterson could be for us, and a guy that where the ball never sticks, that always makes the correct extra pass, that on defense he gives you probably not lockdown defense, but smart defense. And those guys are helpful and useful for teams. So, I mean, they don't have a point guard, but having that kind of guy is a glue guy, is what Raymond is for, to a certain degree, not to that degree.
Yeah.
But what Raymond is,
Offensively he is to a degree. Defensively,
No,
he's just not.
No.
He's not very good anymore.
No. I was speaking about offense and the way in which you can, and he's not the fulcrum of the offense, but guys that knows how to make the extra pass immediately and knows where other people should be on the court are very, very helpful. And yeah, this is why offense, you can have a very efficient offense even if you don't have a point guard.
Yeah. Are they the best? They have the best offense in the league? Did I dream that?
Well, no, they're for sure the best shooting team in the league, or they were before the last Thunder game. So they should be up there. I mean, maybe number 2, number 3.
Second in offense in the NBA. Yeah. We can go over
that.
I
mean, they play awesome basketball. Like, they really find the open man with ease, and it's beautiful to watch. I mean, and it's not that OKC is playing bad or anything, because you could clearly see that even OKC generates good shots. But then if you have Paul George, Batum, and Ibaka at the end, and on the other end you have Robbie and Dort and Bazley, I mean, you can go 2 out of 20, and they can go 10 out of 20, and this is the game.
Yeah, the Thunder currently have the worst offense in the NBA at a 103.3. It's not on 100, which is great. It's wonderful. I don't know. I don't even know if a modern NBA team could go under 100.
Wait for the George Hill trade, and then we'll talk.
Okay, that'd be very exciting. Their defense is 21st in the league, so bottom 10 defense, bottom 10 offense. They are 28th in net rating, still at a negative 7.6, only to be outdone by the Minnesota Timberwolves, who are a minus 8.1, and the Sacramento Kings, negative 8.4. That's impressive. That's an impressive number, Sacramento Kings. Their defensive rating is 118.7.
Wow. That is
the next closest is the Wizards, who are horrific at a 114.7. They're 4 points worse.
That is insane. We're a team that had everything in place to draft Luka. Everything.
It was all sitting there
for you.
Right. You
Please.
have GM from the same country.
It's not like
not like you don't know.
I mean, how can you?
It's so
I don't know.
Bad. It's so bad.
The more I think
the
about it,
Blazers have the third worst defense in the league, by the way.
Yeah, they need George Hill and Hamidou or Lou Dort, but Lou Dort is out of the question now.
We're not trading Lou Dort. They can have George Hill though. That'd be great.
Yeah, they could. Enes Kanter and Zach Collins, and we have a deal.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
Cheap.
Thunder Pulse, listening from Stillwater, Oklahoma. Evan, greetings from Tulsa. Thanks for listening, guys. I think we also have Chad listening from OKC. So shout out to Chad. We got Penny on the line here. I think she's in Tulsa.
We have Chad from Alaska.
Oh yeah, Chaz from Alaska too. Chaz, thanks for joining. We got people shouting out my hair. Thanks so much for the hair shout out.
Thank you.
Next question is from @Maters918. Are you beginning to get excited about the Miami pick swap in the 21 draft?
Kind of. I don't know. Miami's a team that I don't see them being out of the playoffs. I mean, they are not good right now, but it's situational. I would be floored if that pick is below 20. But maybe you get 18. And it's fine.
Well, you don't get it because you're gonna pick swap with the Rockets anyways, and you get your own.
Yeah,
pick. So the Thunder will get the 2 best picks from OKC, Miami, Houston.
Yeah, right. It's a swap. Yes.
Yeah, it's a swap as well. So I think the Thunder will get OKC and Houston, and I don't think the Miami pick will play into it. Although it's hilarious that they all have the same record right now at 6 and 9.
Well, they could. Well, it's not for sure that they don't get Miami. If Houston is top 4, they get Miami. Whatever.
Right.
Whatever
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I assume Houston will tread water and be mostly bad, but sometimes kind of good, especially if John Wall can play at all.
Yeah, but odds, who knows?
I mean, I don't know.
Maybe they are lucky. I don't want them to be lucky, but maybe they are.
I don't either. Somebody asked us about like best and worst case scenarios. I'm playing the draft lottery here on tankathon.com, and right now this would be a worst case scenario for OKC is that they get the 7th and 8th pick in the draft. Like that would be pretty brutal. I'm gonna play it again. They get the 8th pick.
They can get 8 and 20. This is something real that can really happen. If their pick is somehow 8 and Houston is somehow 4, and then you get Miami that is in the 20s. Mm-hmm. This is something that can happen, and it's terrible.
That would be bad.
Bad.
Dream scenario here. Thunder get the 1st pick and the 8th pick. I'd flip. I'd flip out. This one's hilarious. The Thunder get the 1st pick via Miami and the 3rd pick with their own pick. That's how
no, I mean the best case to me, it's like 1 and 5. That would be
that's real. That feels realistic. Yeah,
sweet.
It feels more realistic. Sweet. Yeah, that would be outrageous. Yeah, Cade and Jalen Green.
Yeah, something like that.
Oh, I can't even talk about it, Michele. I can't even talk about it.
Yeah, or maybe Kuminga has some, or Mobley has some weird red flags that no one knows about, and
that would be great. I'd love to see some Mobley red flags.
Yeah, and then it's an Anunoby things where he was basically not going to Sacramento or something like that, and you
basically OKC either, obviously
forced to. Well,
he didn't.
Yes,
he didn't.
But it's not everyone. Like there are players that like gave inputs, so that no one besides OKC could draft them. Yeah. Pokusevski is one of them.
Yeah,
there were weird red flags and stuff during his season. He was not showing when scouts were there. I don't know, not implying nor denying anything, but
what did Sam say to you, Poku? What did he say to you? Well, what happened there?
I don't know. You can come here and take as many bad shots as you want. Yeah, this seems part of the discussion.
Mm-hmm. Here's a nice wet blanket for our positive draft discussion. This is from Vito006083363. Can we really draft the quote-unquote next great Thunder player? There's a 47% chance that we don't even get the number 1 pick in 5 years, even if we're one of the worst 3 teams every year. Even if we get one, the chances of it turning into a franchise star is probably less than 50%.
Thank you, Vito, for reminding us how brutal mathematics is. And yeah, you're that is something that should. I know that you can use the idea and saying, well, this is why you don't tank. Fair. I don't think that other options like getting a top 5 player via free agency or via trade has better odds than that.
At keeping the player. I mean, you want to talk about like 53% chance that they get in the top 5 in the next few years. I think the Thunder would say, all right.
Exactly.
Let's do it, because the chances of them in free agency getting a star player are 0%.
Exactly.
It's not happening. And then the odds of trading for a player, yes, higher, but then keeping that player for longer than 2 seasons?
Yeah.
You're not going to do it. You're not going to do it. So give me 53%. Give me the less than 50% odds on it, them being a star. Give me those odds rather than giving me the odds of, and it really just depends on what you want. It all depends on what you want. Because if all you want to do is just compete, get in the playoffs, give yourself a chance to be frisky, great. That's easily done. I think that's easily done. The Thunder would have just kept the team they had last year.
Yeah.
They find a way to pay for Gallo. You hope that Dort gets better, obviously, Shai gets better, and then you're just like, all right, we're going to just trudge through this, and we're going to be frisky. We're going to be the 5 seed, and teams aren't going to want to play us. And that's the ceiling of the Oklahoma City Thunder. But like the Thunder, when they traded Chris Paul, when they traded Steven Adams, when they traded everybody they did, and again, we'll talk about that Wednesday, they were saying, we want more. We want more than just being a middling team that competes and has a fun, good season. They want more than that. That's why they did it. And so, yes, the odds aren't good. The odds of having, I mean, really the only place where you have like good odds of like trying to win a title is Los Angeles.
Yeah.
I mean, that's it. Just because you are in Los Angeles, you always have a chance to get a star. When you're the Lakers, if you can just print Lakers on your jersey, boom, great. Just hang on. You're eventually going to have a star that wants to come play for you. Just hang on. If you stink, just hang on.
Yeah, and the drought for them lasts, 5 years?
Yeah. And then you get LeBron James to just fall in your lap.
Yeah.
The Thunder will never have a LeBron James caliber player just fall in their lap and say, yeah, I would like to come play, because I think the Devon Tower is spectacular.
Yeah, and again, think about teams like Indiana. Indiana just made a trade to be mediocre. Mm-hmm. I don't know why it was so maligned the way in which Houston picked Oladipo compared to LeVert. But to me, it's clear. The team wants to sustain the level of play that they have right now, which is Indiana. 40 to 50 win team every season. You have zero chance to be the champions, because, I mean, it's not zero just because there are catastrophic injuries that can happen, but it's negligible. You
0.0000001.
And the other team says, well, now we really want to have the potential to hit the reset button. Mm-hmm. And if I don't have Oladipo on my books, I may find a way to move Gordon. I may find a way to, or at least to have like a lesser team that in the Western Conference will never be good. Mm-hmm. And just having the possibility to decide what my future is. The other team decided what is the future for them. And it's barring some, I don't know, Jokic, Sabonis transform himself into Jokic plus something, and then maybe. But I don't see that. And so it's clear to me that what OKC is doing, it's different. They don't want to be that team. They are this team now, probably, if they play hard and they play Hill 38 minutes, Horford 38 minutes, then probably they are a team that fights for the play-in tournament. But this is exactly what they want to avoid, and avoid for real. Like, this is why they are starting Roby and not Muscala.
Yeah.
Like, because Muscala fits better. You can see that. It's clear. It's in front of you. Just look how better the team is when Muscala plays. The
Mhm.
spacing is better. The flow is better. Everything is better. But
Yeah,
no,
defense is better. Yeah.
yeah, everything. Like the defense with Muscala on. That is how Robbie he's playing right now.
Yeah.
But the plan is clear. Like we want to develop, and playing through adversity is a way to develop, especially when you have a blue chip prospect in Shai, and you're giving him a hard time getting to his shots.
Mhm.
Go Shai. This is hard. Next year, if we get Cade, if we get Mobley, you'll have more space and more.
Easier. Yeah, should get
Yeah,
easier.
it would be easier. And you will have other challenges. Like maybe you can get to 8 or 9 rebounds. You can get to 8 or 9 trips to the free throw line. You will have other goals. Now just score when you are the only one that the defense really care about, because they don't know that Dort is coming for them.
Mhm. That's right. At Scott_bracket wants to know, how bad does trading away Sabonis hurt now? Do you think he's already going to be the type of player the Thunder is going to try to hit on in the next few years?
0, clearly. If you have to choose today between Shai and Sabonis, to me, it's not a question. I said it many times. I love Domas. I'm in love with this game. I followed him pretty closely for a job that I was doing for Gonzaga, and he's a great player.
Mm-hmm.
But if I have to choose to say today which player I want on my team, it's Shai, and I don't even think twice.
Yeah.
So it's, to me, it hurts because I would love to see Domas playing in this environment for sure. I mean, they tried to shop. Like, if we were so lucky that Domas's contract was up next year, I mean, to me, you really go after him.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe they will do, because, I mean, Indiana is not going anywhere. And maybe they would like 2 first-round picks for Domas next year. And he's perfect for a team where Shai is the guy, the second guy, and maybe Cade is the number 1 guy. And then you have a big man like Sabonis, which is basically Horford but better and younger.
Yeah. He's not dissimilar from Al Horford in a lot of ways. He's not.
Yeah, and it gives you like a post dimension, even if last game he basically had 2 bunnies blocked at the end of the game. But yeah, he's a player that I love. But I mean, Shai is better today and probably better for the future.
Yeah, no question. At Thunder Sooners wants to know, if Dort's ceiling is Jimmy Butler, then what is Shai's ceiling? I guess I have to answer to this. I mean, it's James Harden, right? Like, that's the ceiling, and we're talking about like the very best you could possibly get. That's your ceiling. Like 2% chance, less than 2% chance that he gets there. But if he gets there, yeah, he's not that dissimilar from James Harden, where he's deceptive. He gets in the lane. He gets at the free throw line. He can finish at the basket. He can take step back threes. You know, he can do all those things. So, I mean, is there a better comp as far as like true ceiling goes?
I don't know. I don't love the. I know why we say James Harden, because it's there, but I was after a better comp in terms of what he does on the court. Yeah, and maybe he's James Harden. I don't know. Yeah. I have to think about it because he's so unconventional in pick and roll.
He's very unconventional.
Yeah, it's different. And maybe there are guys that are more similar to him, but they are not at the level that I'm thinking. Like, he's more similar in some sense to Dragic. But he could be better than him, like way better than him.
Yeah.
So
Dragic is like more of a median outcome for Shai, where it's like, you'd be like fringe all-star and you can lead a team, and then maybe on the back end of your career, you're coming off the bench or whatever. Like, I think that's almost like a sure thing. Like, he's going to have the career of a Goran Dragic.
Yeah, I don't know. He's a different. My like NBA knowledge, at least about films, goes back, I don't know, not very many years. So I wonder if in the past there were players that were more similar to Shai, and that they made all-stars and stuff like that. I don't know. You probably have to go back a while, because his style of play is not like pull up or I don't know. It's more crafty and irky jerky and stuff like that. So maybe you should go in the 80s or in the 70s and look for guys that were tall and they were playing with the ball. Who knows? Maybe someone on Twitter will point us a better comp than Harden. The level to me is number one guy. I still think that there is a chance for Shai to be the number one guy on a team. Yeah. A slim chance, as you said, 2%, 1%. I don't know. It's silly to talk percentage. Probably. Do you remember the who was that? James Ennis is 80% of a reason.
Yeah, we throw out there's some silly stuff thrown out there by me and by everybody.
No, it was not you.
I know that wasn't me, but I'm saying like I'm with that.
No, I mean 2% is I know why you say 2% is it's not likely, and it's an easy way to say that. But you don't know, like you just don't know how likely it is. You probably, if you have to bet, you probably don't bet on that.
Yeah, you don't bet on it. It's really, when I say 2%, it's just I think there's, I don't know. You can be a homer, definitely, and say like Shai's the number one guy. He's going to be everything to this franchise. He's carrying the franchise on his back. You know, you can be a homer and do all that, but the truth is, like the actual truth is, the Thunder love Shai, but they have higher aspirations for the leader of the franchise than Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Like that's the truth. Like the absolute truth is that they want to win a title. If you don't believe me, go read what Sam wrote in the Oklahoman 2 years ago. I know that people get annoyed from me saying that. Like, go read it.
Yeah,
go read it. He laid the whole plan out. It's all there. He typed it. He published it to their site. It's there.
Yeah.
Actually, he probably didn't publish it. Somebody else published it, but he turned it into them. Okay. Ben Alpers wants to know, imagine Lou Dort is far from there yet, but who would make the list of the top 10 undrafted players in the modern era, say since the ABA-NBA merger? What are the top 10 undrafted players in the association today? So I don't have 10, but like here's some guys that were undrafted that are playing in the league today. And Dort is toward the top of this list. He's not the top of it, but he's close to it. Like Joe Ingles was undrafted. Alex Caruso was undrafted. Ish Smith was undrafted. Kent Bazemore was undrafted. Fred VanVleet was undrafted. Who was probably
not late, super late.
Mm-mm.
Wow.
Yeah.
Then
Fred
he is
VanVleet,
number one.
Yeah, he's number one. And Wes Matthews was undrafted as well.
Yeah.
Like guys that were undrafted back in the day, shout out Earl Boykins, shout out Jeremy Lin, shout out Udonis Haslem, shout out John Starks, shout out John Hamm for John Starks, and shout out Ben Wallace. All undrafted.
Yeah, I mean, he's not at that level for sure.
No,
but
he's not.
Yeah, one of the best undrafted player that is playing currently in the league, which is something.
He's probably third. Like I'd probably put Joe Ingles above him.
Yeah, career-wise.
Ingles is so good, man.
Yeah.
It's so fun.
Yeah.
Let's see. I've got 3 minutes. So let's do this last question from Matt 405 fan. It says, say we get a top 5 pick in this draft. What is the most you'd be willing to give up in terms of players and picks to get a second top 5 pick? Our young players with real value are probably Shai, Dort, and Baze. If Houston ends up around 10, would 10 plus Baze plus 3 more first, not our own, be too much?
No. Probably not.
That's a lot. That's a lot.
It depends. Number 5, if your guys, 3 is quite a lot.
3 is quite a lot.
Quite a lot. So
you just have to be sure to make, and I wouldn't be mad at something like that if you're sure. If you're like, hey, Jonathan Kuminga is going to be a star in the NBA, and we already have, Cade or Jalen Suggs or whoever it is. Like we've got them in place, and we have Shai in place, and we'll probably just like to keep Dort And if Kuminga can be that guy, go get him. Go get him. Has a high ceiling, but the chances of him getting there are very, 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 very slim.
Yeah.
And you may come back to bite you, but I think that you have to go over that top level talent. If you just go over it in NBA history, that's where you want to be. Like it's where you want to be. And the Thunder have to take chances to get there. And so like something like that sounds like a lot. It is that's a whole heck of a lot to give up.
Mm-hmm.
But to get 8 years of control over a guy like Jalen Green, Kuminga, whoever it is, I think you have to take a chance.
Look, Dallas traded number 5, 2 extra first-round pick, lightly protected for Doncic, which is arguably a better package because they knew that they trade Trae Young, who was a blue chip prospect already. So they traded Trae Young plus 2 picks for number 5. This is what they had to, because again, they were there. They could have gotten Trae Young if they wanted to, or Justin Jackson Jr.
Yep.
That's not Jackson Jr. Jaren, exactly. Why am I missing all these names? Anyway, so if you think if Doncic is there for you, you do it, and no one will remember who the trade was made for. Like it's okay if you draft, even if it's for Trae Young, you do it. Those guys have chances to be transcendent talents that can change the franchise. So 3 picks, 4 picks, and basically for Doncic, sign me up if this is the level of player that we are discussing.
Yep. Totally agree. Thanks so much for listening. Thanks to everybody in the stream. Thanks to Brian Yates from New Zealand for tuning in. He hasn't missed a pod since Steve-O left. Thank you so much. That means a lot to us. We've got Christian from South London. Hope you're doing okay during the lockdown. I know that life is probably not easy where you're at right now. So we're thinking about you. Hope that things are going okay for you there. Just shout out to everybody that listened. That's on the stream. If you're listening to the pod, thank you so much. Be sure to go to theathletic.com/down2dunk and get The Athletic for $3.99 a month. This is the 5-year anniversary of The Athletic. So make sure that I retweeted this on my account. So go check that out, retweet it, like it, and you'll register. It's basically registering you for a chance to get a free subscription to The Athletic. So go do that. Thank you so much for listening, and tune in Wednesday when Alex and I discuss the trade grades for the Thunder of this past offseason. Thanks so much.